Hey everybody, Orange Podcast Bad. Our 41st episode. I can't believe it's come this
Hard to
far.
believe, bro.
I am opening up all the live chats right now. No, it's really insane to me, Paul. 41 went so fast. 41 a year from now, what will be
Yeah,
on? 200?
yeah,
200? I mean,
yeah.
it's crazy to me how fast this is going. I want to thank everybody that participates, joins the chats. I'm opening up the chat room on Rumble now. If you're a Rumbler, YouTube chat will be open. Locals, all
So
open.
I got a question, Sean. I've got a chat box on the right side of my screen. And if people put in a comment or ask to come on or whatever, um, do I see that as well, or is it just you because you're the moderator?
You should see it as well. The last time we had Kess chatting, you were able to see it, you said. And I can also
Oh,
put it
that's
up at
right.
the
Yeah,
top
yeah,
of the
yeah.
screen.
Yep, yep.
You will not be able to see any of the Twitter chat. I have to run that separately. Twitter API and Rumble API, for those of you guys that are into APIs, they don't talk to each other very well. So if you're all, I do have a phone open over on the Twitter. If you want to drop us a comment there, I'll just tell you what it says, Paul. Because it doesn't, they just don't play nice. They're,
I
they're
got you.
not friends. They're
Yeah.
friends, but they're not that kind of friends.
Yeah, they're not that kind of. Yeah, they're like workmates.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we both can help each other get more
Yeah,
users,
yeah.
but we just don't want to, like, we're just not going to touch.
But you
We're
need
going
to
to,
sign this NDA first.
yeah, we're going to sit over here. You sit over there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. And lots of NDAs. Oh, good times. Dude, I haven't talked to you since. Oh, by the way, this episode is brought to you by Operation Independence Week. I made that up all myself because it is Independence Week. This is the week we told King George III, the tyrant, to go F himself
Yep.
over taxes. And it wasn't just taxes, over him being a tyrant. Happy Independence Week, everybody. That brings me to Operation Midnight Hammer. I would love, I will give you 5 minutes if you need it. What did you think?
So I'm glad you asked. First of all, I'd like to put some financial perspective on it. So a one each standard United States Navy aircraft carrier costs $2 billion. Now I'm not talking about the advanced Roosevelt or that's an undisclosed amount because they have some really top secret tech on them and stuff like that. But your standard one each F-18 carrying Growler having, P-3 launching aircraft carrier costs about $2 billion to build. In contrast, a B-2B is 2.4 billion. We sent 5 in one direction and 4 in another direction. So get out your spreadsheets, kids, because this is going to add up. Now, we also launched, so we've now got these KC 140 refuelers. We've been using the KC 135 since 1979 when I was in the Air Force. They're the old 727, they're loud, noisy, and inefficient. We've gone to the KC 140.
Quick
And
question.
so
So the difference on those two is that we went to an injected turbine engine, a thrust engine over a prop engine, and then we put some mufflers on it. Isn't that the
that's
main
right.
difference?
And Rolls Royce did all that work for us. We outsourced all of that to Rolls Royce. The engine management we outsourced to Rolls Royce. So those 5 birds and 4 birds had 4 refuelings one way. So you can imagine it was almost an entire fleet out of Italy that has a big refueling base there at not Anzio, but I forget the name of the base, but it's a big refueling base and stuff, and it's part of that command. Launched and refueled those aircraft. We had a dozen F-18 and F-35 escorts for the whole thing, all the way up to the Iranian border, and then they peeled off because they don't have the stealth capability that the B-2 has.
All right, again, question. I don't want you to lose train of thought. Doesn't the 22 have the same stealth capability?
It does, but it's not developed as much as the B-2.
Oh, and it doesn't have the high altitude height.
It doesn't have the high altitude like the F-18 and the F-35 has. They've got that, not an unlimited ceiling, but they got the 46 or 48,000 foot.
That's about what I think. So you were they peel off, bombers going to
Iran. They peel off at the border, and then they drop a bucket load of bunker busters that are $875,000 a piece. And so a regular bunker buster is about $500,000. But these bunker busters were developed specifically to go extra deep, because the intel that we had about Fordo was that it was 180 feet underground. The other thing that they did with that bunker buster and its release system was, so once you go down 180 feet, then you get half a dozen tunnels going into these huge workshops where they're doing the centrifuges and and all that kind of stuff. So when they went down and actually exploded, they projected out laterally instead of straight.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, instead of straight down, they exploded laterally, so it filled every tunnel, every workshop, everything that was under there with about 3,000 degrees worth of hyper-intensive fight, right? So now we're at about $2 billion for this mission. And not to mention, it was the same 4 or 5 refuelers to get them back to Missouri and get to keep those birds in the air. And again, as soon as they left Iranian airspace, the F-18s and the F-35s came back, took them all the way halfway across the Atlantic before they peeled off. So we're talking $2.8 billion for this mission. And the success of it, so the other part of that is, what the media doesn't talk about is we had Air Force forward observers. They call in latitude and longitude, and they're usually seconded with a Ranger team or a SEAL team or something, and they call in the airstrikes and stuff like that. So those guys were on the ground in the vicinity of each of those locations. And at minimum, I would say it was a platoon of Tier 1 highly trained operators that stayed on site even after it was over and did their inspections and stuff. So again, we're at almost $3 billion for this airstrike,
Hmm.
and and it was 100% effective.
Well, I could defer some of that cost off of the creation of the bombers over 30 years. Oh, but I get your
Oh
point.
yeah, no, no, for sure. Yeah,
I
no,
get the
that's a
point.
great point, Sean. Yeah, it's not like they built these for this mission. These
Right.
were, what we call COTS, commercial off the shelf. They were already in bench stock. They were already stationed at Missouri or camp or at Fallon, Nevada. That's where the B-2s are at home.
Yeah,
And
you had some flight. So, and again, to go back to what you said, so there was a military exercise that happened somewhere near Finland, the northern part of Europe, and we sent a shit ton, like 17 refuelers, to a military exercise, and everyone's going, "What?" Like all the people that follow
yeah,
military aircraft, they why
so
the
you
hell do
got
they need? And then so 2 days later, then you see a bunch of B2s, which we still don't know what their capability is. We know more capability of the SR-71 than we know of the B2. And the
yeah,
SR-71 couldn't drop anything.
no,
It had
it
cameras.
did not carry a payload.
So it flew towards Guam the wrong way.
Yeah,
Nobody even noticed. You never saw a single video of somebody in Missouri going, "4 B2s just took off." You never saw anything. The amount of
nothing.
secrecy around this
Yeah.
mission was unbelievably incredible to me, Paul.
So being stationed where an SR-71 was, is we knew, and we were security, right? We were top flight security, and we knew when an SR-71 was going to take off because there would be 150 photographers down at the active end of the runway, outside the wire, but at the active end of the runway.
Yeah.
There were none of those guys in Missouri. They
And
took
do
those
people
guys.
and my point, Paul, is people do this as hobby, like no different than ham radio guys
Oh
or
yeah,
there's people
the
that
guys
love
that are seeking signatures
they
of
like the
yeah, they do it for a
videography,
living. Yeah,
they like to take pictures and videos of
yeah.
the takeoffs and
It's
the
benign.
landings.
I don't. There. It's not surreptitious.
No.
Most of that shit is benign.
Yeah.
But you didn't
But
see any
if
of
they
that at
post it to
Missouri,
their YouTube channel that has 400,000 people following it,
right?
all of a sudden 4 B2s just launched.
Right. And there's nothing.
The hobby videographers didn't even know because
Yeah,
they weren't there.
yeah. Because 2 weeks before the mission, they cleared them out.
How far can you clear, like in Terre Haute? I don't know if you have there's so much public property around that air base. It's a F-16 base. That you could prevent public videography.
So there's a caveat in the defense mission statement that says under extraordinary circumstances, we control all of that ground space around the camp, right? So you're a
Okay.
farmer, you got 1,000 acres, and you butt up to the fence, at Terre Haute or whatever. Yeah, it's perfectly legal for uh, 10 Humvees full of security guys going, get out of here. Deadly force is authorized.
All right, so into perspective, I've only experienced that one at Terre Haute International. It is an international airport only because the runway's long enough. It's a college town. It's a small town of 100,000 people,
Yeah.
but they have an Air National Guard base there. That's the base where the F-16s took off. The only F-16s in the country that were armed, because we had some stupid regulation that said you can't have armed aircraft inside of the continental United States unless they're in Terre Haute, Indiana, up to go chase down these commercial aircraft on 9/11. And I remember specifically because we used to go out there and just sit in FOB bar and just hang out as college kids.
Yeah.
Watch F-16s come and
Yeah.
go all day, right?
Launch and
Dude,
recover. Launch and recover.
it was
Yep.
cool. I was so cool.
Yep.
But I remember driving out there because it was probably 10 miles from my house, not far. And yeah, they totally had the state highway shut down. They just had cop cars blocking it off. Is that
They
what you're
just blocked
talking
it off.
about they
Yeah.
would have done? Okay.
100%. Yeah.
So they would have done this, what, a week earlier? 2 weeks
2
earlier?
weeks. 2 weeks
Wow.
earlier. That's what well, I
Just to
say
get
that
people
because
used to
that's what we
going
did with
around it?
SR-71s and U-2s when they were on a mission. It was 2 weeks out.
Wow. Alright, so we have all the surprise, we have all the deception. The surprise or the deception I thought that was incredible was sending a whole bunch of refuelers to Northern Europe, right? And everyone's like, and there was a lot of people that called it out. They're like, wait, why the hell do we need that many refuelers for a training mission? And nobody answered them. And then they moved on to the next thing. They're like, okay, cool, the mission's going, right? They're just following. And nobody saw 4 of these things slip out the back door. And the mission was incredible. 36-hour round trip, 37, somewhere in
And
between
they
there.
yeah, and they left at 2 o'clock in the morning,
Mhm.
you know, um,
Unless
when
you
it was
lived within a mile or 2 of it, you wouldn't have even heard of them.
no, no. No, no, no. Uh-uh. No, those let me tell you something, man. Those, engines that they put on the B-2 are just phenomenal.
Gotta love Rolls-Royce. Alright, so and then you walked us through the rest of it, right? Precision. Dropping things, and I will say this is public information. If you look at Elon's rockets where they have grid fins, these things also have grid fins. They're just on the top of the bomb, not the bottom of the
Right.
rocket, and they're self-guiding once they're let loose.
Yeah.
Are they rocket propelled? No, but they don't need to be. They're
They're
30,000
they're precision
pounds.
guided. Yeah, yeah, and, so the other thing I'll say about the B-2 is their, General Electric, uh, did
Oh,
the engine for the
the
B-2,
engines of
not
GEs. It's
Rolls-Royce, yeah.
GEs. Okay. Well, then let's give all credit to GE.
Yeah,
Incredible.
oh, yeah, yeah, because 'cause it's the coolest turbofan jet engine ever made. It really, really is, and it has a quiet mode.
Mhm. Well, the
So
other thing, we're plane geeks, but they just have a cruising altitude that's above what most nations could even see.
sure,
Even with modified, specific Chinese bought or Russian brought radar technology, they're just
yeah.
above it. So yeah,
It's not even close, man.
they
Not
can go in,
even
go
close.
out, and a
Yeah,
piece of cake.
yep.
All right, so that was Operation Midnight Hammer. Let's see what we got in the studio. I think I have a clip. Oh, do you want to do the whole? I don't know if I want to do that. I think I want to move on. I got the F bomb clip, but it's like 3 minutes long of Trump. What I do have is all of a sudden the drive-by media is all of a sudden now that Biden's out of office, they're interested in the Biden cartel. You want to do that clip?
Oh, yeah.
CBS News has learned that more than 150 transactions involving either Hunter or James Biden's global business affairs were flagged as concerning by U.S. banks for further review. Some of those concerns included large wire transfers.
This is the way it is.
After a nearly 3-year investigation, Republican Senator Chuck Grassley told CBS News he believes the president's younger brother James was instrumental in Hunter Biden's Chinese business ventures.
I think James Biden was very much a part of this.
James Biden has worked as an entrepreneur and recently in the healthcare industry.
We will focus on James Biden, the president's brother.
This week, Grassley released bank records indicating James Biden's company, the Lionhall Group, was paid directly by a Chinese financed consulting firm.
These records come directly from the banks, no third party.
You're absolutely right.
In our interview, Grassley did not allege the Bidens broke the law, but he said it's concerning that both Hunter and James Biden were promised retainers for their China work totaling $165,000 a month in 2017 after Joe Biden left the vice presidency.
We have people with the Biden name dealing with Chinese business people that have a relationship to the Communist Party. I think it's very concerning.
This 2019 subpoena, verified by CBS News, shows federal investigators also sought Hunter and James Biden's business records from a major U.S. bank dating back to 2014 as part of a separate probe by the U.S. attorney in Delaware into possible violations of tax and foreign lobbying laws.
I think Hunter and James Biden should not have entered into those relationships. In the best case, those things look really bad. In the worst case, the conflicts can be quite serious.
The White House chief of staff said this week that the president is confident his family did the right thing, adding these actions by Hunter and James are private matters and don't involve the president. CBS News began outreach to James and Hunter's legal teams last week and received no response. Nora. Catherine.
Oh, I like Catherine Herridge. I really like her. I'm not sure why she's giving hits to CBS. Wasn't it CBS that fired her for being too accurate?
Yeah.
And that aside, the point I want to make here is that all of a sudden CBS and NBC and let's get into the cable news networks really want to look at the Biden cartel now that he's gone. You didn't want to look at it when everybody was screaming, here's the evidence, here's the evidence, here's the evidence.
So I got to tell you honestly, bro, I'm on the fence about this.
Okay.
I really am. I'm just, okay, are we doing a legitimate investigation to what could have changed safety and security for America and world events? Are we just being revenge whores? And if you notice, all of the congressional things, not one Democrat ever shows up. If you look at, you go on CNN and all the Republicans are on this side over here, and all the seats are empty on the left side. And so one of my points is, why are we going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars when at the end of the day, I believe in my heart of hearts that nothing's going to happen? It's just going to be a series of gotcha questions. And it's going to be a series of "I told you so" and that kind of stuff. It just doesn't have the authenticity of, So in other words, if they really did that and the state's attorney, Pam Bondi, really thought that was going on, you need to file RICO, because that's the very definition of racketeering, influenced, corrupt operations. So if you're not going to file RICO, then I got a whole bunch of shut the hell up and let's just get on with life.
I am 1,000% with you on congressional hearings. I am 1,000% with you on where's the Department of Justice. Congressional hearings are nothing at this point other than people getting sound bites for their campaign
That's all it
to
is,
put up.
Sean.
They frustrate me, like, and people will post on the internet, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get this hearing's happening today," and I just like I'll put up a GIF of a yawn.
Yeah.
Like, I am with you. What I do believe though, I'm also tired of the Republicans, including AGs, just going, "Oh, look, if that happened, but we're in charge now, so that's not happening." And they never do anything about it. And you go back to the 50s.
That's what
You can
I'm
go
talking about, dude.
right, and I want the AG, I want the DOJ, I want the FBI to actually prosecute criminals who,
Yeah,
like politicians who
yeah,
are involved in RICO because we
right.
know what did they do? They gave us an easy one, right? Gold Bar Bob Menendez
Oh,
and
yeah, he's
his wife.
low-hanging fruit, dude. He's low-hanging fruit.
That's my
Nobody's
point.
seriously
When
looking at
when
Pelosi. No,
everybody in the
you know,
public,
yeah,
other than the sycophants that are just like, I hate Trump so
yeah,
much, I don't care. Everybody else knows that Joe Biden was involved in racketeering
yeah,
and bribery against governments
right,
to force them to do something.
right.
Everybody knows it. I
But
want to see
but
that
if
happen.
they're not gonna prosecute, just stop. Save the millions of dollars and let's move on to the next thing. If you're not gonna, if you don't have a dog in the hunt and you're not just dedicated to doing it, unlike the Democrats, where they assign somebody to run down Trump
Oh yeah.
and look at every word he said and every text message and every time he took a photo with his arm around a girl, the conservatives or the Republicans are not doing that level of investigation. So just stop it, dude. You're not going to prosecute Biden. You're not going to, you already let Junior off the hook.
Yep.
You basically let him off the hook.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So just shut the fuck up and let's get back to getting the economy going again and lowering the Fed rate and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that brings me to
Aggravating, man.
look, I'm with you. I want to see prosecutions. I will comment to people because I'm a realist. You've known me for at least 3 years. I I'm a realist. None of this Republicans would never do such a thing. They believe they are above such dirty politics. It's not dirty. It's the law, but whatever. Unless it comes from Bondi or if Bongino or Patel says, "Hey, yeah, we've just opened an investigation." I'm not interested. You're all just doing this shit for clicks.
Yeah, you're doing it. Oh, bro, perfect. They're doing it for clicks. So your FBI is fucked up. The intelligence agency is fucked up because somebody leaked that information about. Oh, we didn't
Yes.
think the bombs are that bad. They're going to be back online on Wednesday. You know what I mean? You clean your own fucking house, dude. We got no time for this other bullshit. It's just
I don't. I
and
really don't.
like the Republicans said all during the Biden administration, I feel like saying this is just a distraction.
Is the Idaho firefighter shooter also another distraction?
Oh, that motherfucker.
I know. Starts a
And then he
starts a
has the
forest fire.
balls to kill himself. What a piece of shit.
Well, and right, and so social media went wild. Um, uh, turns out he maybe Russian native. I don't know that that matters to anything. My question is, where did he get radicalized? He had to be
That's
radicalized
that's
to do
what I
that.
want to know. How did he get radicalized?
Yeah, that was my question the
And
entire time
then,
on the
if
internet
you're
during.
Dan Bongino, you go, I got 25 top agents going after the guys that radicalized that guy. And he's not going to get away with it, or the radicalization proponent is not going to get away with it. But they
And
don't do
no,
that. They don't
and
do that.
all of those people needed to be deported to El Salvador to be put in prison.
Yeah.
And
We're getting them.
I got to be honest with you. I'm observing the world. I'm not participating necessarily. I'm a commentary guy. You're a commentary guy.
Yep.
We just give our comments, our thoughts on what's going on.
Yep.
But when I watch this stuff and then I watch social media freak out, obviously some of them go way too extreme, and some of them celebrate it and cheer it, and I just look at it and go, "This is bizarre.
Yeah.
This is bizarre." What and then like I might pose the question. What I usually pose is, is this bringing anybody? Just a blanket question. Is this position bringing anybody new voters to the party? That's all I say. I don't say which party.
Yeah.
And my personal opinion is no. All you're doing is driving away voters, and I think that's intentional. And I think that's because the Uniparty is totally down with the socialism.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah.
So that brings us to Elon says if the BBB passes, he's going to start the America Party. Okay,
Yeah.
listen,
Whatever, dude.
third parties, the Libertarian Party, it, so there's been 4 or 5 offices won by being a libertarian, I think, ever. None of them at the federal level, like county, or city level have been won. They're not a serious party. And to libertarians that listen to this, listen, I don't think your limited government approach is wrong. I think it's right. I really do. Your party is a mess. We'll have to like come on the podcast. We'll talk to you. We'll
Yeah.
listen to you. We'll totally hang out with
Yep.
you.
We'll give
We're all
you,
good.
yeah, we'll give you a microphone and let you go. Yeah. But
S-
it's the same. So the closest that it's ever come was the Tea Party back in the day. And they were still 500 years away from being influential. And they had quite a few people. So
a
I don't think
lot.
any of, you know
A
what I mean?
lot.
Yeah, but they weren't even close to coming to the GOP or the DNC.
Well,
They had, it just wasn't even close, dude.
but what Tea Party did and what MAGA Party did was they said, hey, we're just going to take an existing thing, which is the Republican Party, and we're going to take it over. The Tea Party failed miserably. I was part of that movement way back then. Now, my
Yeah.
voice wasn't on the internet because
Yeah.
Facebook would have censored it. Like, they would have just crushed, or they did crush my account. You had nowhere to go and build up this thing. So when MAGA came around, I was still quiet the first time. And then Musk bought X, and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to try it again. Here we are. Now we have a podcast, Paul.
Yeah.
We can Rumble lets us say so far, I've
Yep.
never had a community violation. I've not had a note saying we said something wrong.
Yep.
Rumble has been fantastic. Thank you to Team Rumble for allowing us this platform. It's been fantastic. So X and Rumble, now all of a sudden we have a voice and we can start building a community.
Yeah.
So Tea Party, we elected a lot of Tea Party people. They were Republicans. Well, they ran as Republicans. And then we've also elected a bunch of MAGA now. And they're doing the same thing the fucking Tea Party people did. And they're like, thanks for getting us here. We're so glad the MAGA people helped us. Now we're going to get in there and we're just going to do nothing. And I think the difference between Tea Party doing nothing and MAGAville doing nothing, uh, outside of a America Party, that doesn't work. I'll
Yeah.
get into that. Is that the voters now in both parties are frustrated as shit.
Are
Democrats
frustrated.
and
100%, dude.
Republicans are like, hey, listen, you
Yep.
said you were going to do something. I poked you with a stick by voting. You didn't do anything. I might be interested in the America Party. And that's where it's going to get weird.
Well, I think part of that, Sean, is media influence, right? So, I told you about the anthill, my two sisters
Yep.
living in the Dallas Metroplex. And the last time we were there, my oldest sister said, I know you're a big Trump guy and all that, but he just really hadn't done anything. And I said, he hadn't closed the border. He hadn't closed the tariff deal. I listed about 4 bullet points. And she, we're family, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so she's like, oh yeah, I didn't think of it from that point of view, but yeah. And I said, yeah, you got to quit listening to Lester Holt every night. Because
it's true.
You know what I mean? And they love Lester Holt. Both my sisters think he's beautiful and good looking. And so they're every night at 7, they're going, oh, it's Lester Holt.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
No, and that's normal. Hey, listen.
And now they fired him. And so now it's the NBC Evening News with Billy Bob Jordan or some shit.
Whoever the hell that guy is. Jesus.
Yeah.
Is there
they were so enamored not with the content,
with the person,
but with the guy. He wears nice suits. I love his tie.
Oh.
He's good looking man. And I'm like, you guys know that's really fucked up, right? That's not how politics work. Because
and he's not actually.
It is. You're going to vote for Gavin Newsom for president. I can tell you that right now.
Yes, he's not even telling you the truth about what's happening. Like today, it's the big beautiful bill, but it could have been anything in the last 30 years. Lester Holt is towing a party line, and they slowly just slid in their political views over the years to now where it's just totally partisan.
Yeah.
Used to be a newsreader. We've talked about this, but now they don't even care. They don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit.
Yeah. Did you know the Orange King farted today? Yeah, we should impeach him because he farted.
Yeah. Or he said the F-bomb. I love that. Helicopter whirring in the background and he just leans forward and he says, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Dude, I've got the whole clip if you want.
Do you have the...
I don't have the song. The song is
I was going to say, if you had the song where,
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. That's fantastic. But no, it's true. I will tell you, my mom's captured by it too. She tries not to be because I'm out here with her. But yeah, she'll ask me questions. She'll be like, "I heard Trump did this." I'll be like, "Trump didn't do any of that." I was like, "Did you hear that from Facebook or the TV?" At least she has learned to discern. I want to know which one of those two. Because she used to say, "I don't know," but that I heard it. And listen, when people, if they hear something and they're a believer in their sources, it doesn't matter where it came from.
It really
They just
doesn't.
believe it.
Right.
But
Yep.
now I've at least got her to the point where I was like, "Is it Facebook or is it your TV? Which
Yeah.
one told you that?"
Yeah.
Because my next phase will be, we need to turn one of those off. I
Yeah.
really want to turn her Facebook off.
Yep.
That's going to be the hardest thing in the world to do because she thinks she's still in contact with high school friends that she hasn't hung out with in 50 years, probably 55 years. They're not hanging out with her. They're, but you get this false sense of reality if you're on Facebook that if they friended
Oh,
you, you're
sure.
still
Yeah.
friends. You're
Yeah.
not friends. You're not.
Yep.
If
I
you
mean,
if you don't have
and I gotta
their
tell
phone
you,
number, if you don't drive over to their house once a year
right.
at least, if you don't hang out with them, you don't call them, or you don't send them the NBA game is going on, game 7 of the NBA finals, you don't text them and say, "Holy crap, the Pacers just lost
Yeah.
Halliburton." You're
Yep.
not friends with them.
Yeah. That's
You're
right.
not. You're not.
And you know, kind of a sad story, but um, the one thing that has drawn some of my old friends and some of Tanya's old friends back together is when I said she had MS.
Sure.
And now we're getting flowers delivered from people we haven't actually made eye contact with in 35, 40 years. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And they're, that kind of thing. So that shows you what the reality is.
But did they call you? Because they don't have your phone number. Did they DM you?
No,
Did they text you?
no private
Now,
message on Facebook or
do they
no
send
nothing.
flowers
Yeah,
as a courtesy?
yeah,
Yeah, this is. I think people would send flowers to Joe Biden when he passes. They've never
yeah,
met him.
yeah,
These are at least people that have met you.
yep,
This is the nature of Facebook, which is why Mark Zuckerberg was smart to start Instagram years ago and WhatsApp and lots of other projects because he
yeah.
knew Facebook was going to die with the customers it had. When the
Right.
customers it
That's right.
had die, so
Man,
did
Facebook
Facebook.
is all boomers. There's nobody else but boomers there, And like Bezos with his wedding, you know, you invited Gail King to your wedding? Are you guys personal friends? No. She paid $1 million to go up for 5 minutes into outer space. So you invite her. And who's
Mhm.
your best friend? Oprah. Have you ever met Oprah? I doubt it. But you invited her to the wedding. You didn't invite the bride when she worked at the IRS and she worked at as a CPA. She's got some bona fides, but none of those people were invited. None of her friends that she's had for 20 or 30 years, none of those folks were invited. It was all just celebrities and shit. Uh, DiCaprio, are you fucking kidding me, Jeff? You and DiCaprio are buds? I doubt it. I fucking doubt it, dude.
And again, that's probably the wife invite list, and the dude's just like, the age difference, and I don't care about age difference. Doesn't bother me. I've definitely been married to a younger woman, but like the whole lifestyle difference, the whole I don't know, I get it, Paul, but like the whole lifestyle difference, the whole like if you
Yep.
look at the two of them and how this merges together, you gotta go, hey, Bill Belichick, do you know what the fuck you're doing? You're about to get wrecked, bro.
So I got to tell you, there's a pretty big delta between me and Tanya.
Yeah,
But
but she's not gonna wreck you the way Bill
no,
Belichick's gonna get
but I
wrecked.
gotta say, the Bosnian culture is my parents' culture. You know what I mean? So in Bosnia, if you're a kid, you still come home when the street lights are on. You still drink water out of a hose. Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody has a cell phone. And certainly, if you have a cell phone, it's a flip phone. Not everybody has an iPhone because they can't afford it, you know? So the reason we're still together after 26 years is our cultures are really, really, really similar.
Right. No, I totally agree. I just don't know if Bill Belichick sees, and we clearly see that Jeff Bezos has no idea. They're both about to get
How
absolutely
disrespectful.
wrecked.
How disrespectful was it for that skank to have her tits hanging out in an inappropriate dress or Buddha, what do they call that? A boudoir, or, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? The upper part,
Yep.
that she wore to the funeral of a statesman, you know?
Listen, I've been wrecked, and thank God I didn't have that kind of money. But lots of people have been wrecked by women. But
you had that hundredaire wrecked. You didn't have the millionaire wrecked.
Yeah.
You
I had
had that hundredaire wrecked.
I had hundreds of dollars, and
Yeah.
they're all gone. Whereas they have billions of dollars, and those billions of dollars all gone. If you feel me, you feel me.
Yeah.
I just, holy crap, Belichick, watch what Bezos is doing. Do the opposite, because Bezos is wrong here, and I
Is
don't say he's
Belichick's
wrong.
woman like 26?
24,
24.
and he's close to 70.
Yeah.
And she, like, they banned her from the practice field and the field because she was out there yelling at Belichick that the people on the field need to do this, the players need to do this, and apparently he was listening to her.
Well, what about Hilaria Baldwin? That's not even her real name.
Nope.
In some interviews she has an accent, in other interviews she doesn't. And Jesus.
That brings me to this. So, Jasmine Crockett. This wasn't on our list, but hold on. This wasn't on the doom scroll. So there's been a conversation going around about Jasmine Crockett for president, or maybe AOC or Gavin, or it doesn't matter. But I came back with somebody said Jasmine Crockett is super ghetto, and I said actually it's to the counter. She's actually super intelligent, and she speaks very well until she ran for Congress. Now she's playing a part
She's
of
ratchet.
the ghetto ratchet
Yeah.
Democrat, and she's only here for her reparations.
Yep.
But that's not who she was. It's not who
Yep.
she is. She's acting just like AOC is acting,
Yep.
just like Chuck Schumer acts, just like Elizabeth Warren acted as an Indian until Trump called her out. She took a
Yep.
DNA test and found out she was 0.1001% Indian, and so, right, like, they're acting. So, like, when people are on social media and go, "Oh my God, Jasmine Crockett is a retard." Okay, well, I can understand if you're calling her a retard, but if you're calling her stupid, no, she's
not stupid.
very
She
intelligent,
graduated with honors, dude.
and she's doing
She
this for a
graduated with honors.
and she's doing this for a very specific reason, to target a specific audience,
Right.
and it's effective.
So there's so on our emergency call list, we've got 9 ranches. So
Mhm.
we've got a family text that includes all 9 ranches. 2 of the ranches are Mexican, owned, but they're
Mexican American.
I call them Texicans. You
Yeah,
know,
they're
they're Mexican
citizens.
heritage, but
They're
they've been here
citizens.
forever. And then I got my buddy Marvin, who's a black guy, who cuts and bales my hay in my pastures. So we've been friends for 10, 15 years, and he calls her Jasmine Ratchet.
Well, I think most people would. Again, I want to point out this is an act. She's playing to her base,
Right.
which will reelect her,
Right.
and they love
That's
it.
what she's doing.
Right?
And but I have to say, we've gotten I say we've gotten a new mayor in Dallas, and we've gotten a new police chief in Dallas, and neither one of them suffer Jasmine Ratchet's beliefs. They're both minority. The mayor's black and Hispanic, and the police chief is African American. And neither one of them are like, no, we are not down with Jasmine Crockett. That's not what we believe here in Dallas. We want low crime. We want people to be able to, ride. We call it DART, Dallas Area Rapid
Yep.
Transit.
Yep. I know,
So we
Dart.
got shuttles, we got buses,
Light
all
rail.
for DART.
Yep.
And so the police chief says he's assigning extra officers to DART. So if you're a college kid and you're drunk off your ass down in there's this real cool hippie
Oh
part of
yeah,
Dallas, part of
college
Dallas
bar,
where they got
college bar
tattoo
neighborhood,
parlors and all the, it's grunge and,
college. Yep.
all that kind of stuff. And he just came out and said, look, if you're a young person and you're overserved, we want you to get home safe.
Yeah.
And we want you to stumble onto the DART, get 2 blocks from your house, at a DART stop, and not worry about getting your ass kicked or, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was so funny for him to speak plainly. You know what I mean? It wasn't in Republican
Political speak.
attitudes or, word salad or anything. He said, look, you're young kids, you're going to the University of Texas here in Dallas, you're going to the med school here in Dallas, and you got Deep Ellum is the place they call it. Deep Ellum has all the, cool restaurants and tattoos,
Sure.
like 6th Street in Austin.
Head shops, all that stuff.
Yeah, all the head shops, CBP, and all that kind of stuff. He's like, we want you to go down there, have fun, be able to get on public transportation, whether a DART tube or train or the DART buses. Take 4 or 5 stops back to your place and be safe. And he said, that's what I'm committed to.
I love it. I hope it's successful. I think we're at a point, though, that public transportation is going to finally die because
Do you
of
think so, really?
because of the massive amount of taxpayer dollars it takes to keep it. So, the one I work for.
Sorry to interrupt, but let me ask you this: is that at all? And I know you've worked in several large municipalities. is that really a moneymaker for the municipality,
No, no,
or
no.
is it a loser?
It's the other way. So I'll just give you Indianapolis municipal transportation, for example. So we had a ticket price, a daily price was $1.75 for a ride, $4 for a day pass. But so if we just take the $1.75 single ride, our math came back with it cost us $4.75 to give them a ride. They paid $1.75. The taxpayers paid the other $3.
No.
Yes.
So let me ask you this: do you think that's standard? Because
Yes. I know it's standard.
I keep my Smart Trip card for DC
Yeah.
because I never rent a car when I'm there. They've got these rechargeable
Yep.
debit cards, right? You
Yep.
plug it
Yep.
into the machine. I want to put $20 on it. Blah blah
They
blah.
they have an app at this point. DC does. We all do. All the major
Yeah,
metros.
So and
Yeah,
so
it's all subsidized by somebody else's tax dollars.
really,
Yes. Even in like DC's probably second best, like outside of New York City. Boston has a really good one. LA is we call LA the gorilla because they have the most rolling stock, you know that term, out
oh
of
yeah.
from any other transit agency.
Oh, okay.
So
So
they're the gorilla, but we're
so
also but somebody from Logansport, Indiana, who's paying federal taxes, is paying for rolling stock in Los Angeles. Why?
so so if I do a day pass in DC, it's $6.
Yeah.
But if I use my Smart Trip card
Mm-hmm.
and put $20 on it, I've got unlimited rides, and it's usually between $1.75 and $3 for the
It's
same if I'm
it,
going 4 stops or whatever,
it's subsidized by some fishermen in northern Montana out on a creek.
Fuck.
It's subsidized.
I did not know
That's
that.
what people don't understand about public transportation. And look, you could love or hate Elon. You could love and hate like Uber and Lyft, but Uber and Lyft being private, Elon's robotaxi being private, and having to make money just to stay alive are going to be the cheapest versions of public transportation. Will there be other things? Yeah, there's going to be privatized busing. We've already seen that from Tesla. Tesla's building out privatized busing. No, and it's look, it seems mostly effective in DC. It does, but you don't realize it's being subsidized by some dude that's a bass fisher in Minnesota,
Yeah. No, I had no idea.
and it
But
is.
I got to tell you, so one of my favorite spots in DC is called Sally's Speakeasy.
Sure.
And it's a cigar bar and a great bar. I mean, really, the drinks are $12, but I mean, you go in and there's these oak, like post office, they're like this big, and you rent them annually, and you put your cigars in there, and the whole thing's humidity controlled and everything.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite spots. They got big leather chairs. They got 100 televisions. You can watch whatever you want, and the girls are cute and wear nearly nothing and wait on you left and right. But when I go there, I don't take the tube because that's a not safe part of town. I Uber to
Mhm.
Sally's Speakeasy, and I Uber back to my safe white neighborhood in Arlington, Virginia.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I just would not feel safe on the tube in that part of DC.
Well, and to your point, I think people don't feel safe at all in New York City anymore, but they have to because New York City's made it impossible to own a car. Chicago's made it, and they have a great public transportation system.
Oh
As
yeah,
far as if you're looking at public transportation,
yeah.
Chicago has one. It like I personally find it awful. I've used it. I've used it for
I've used it
years.
too. Chicago's one of my
I,
favorite big
I, I've
cities.
I've done the suburb trains too, all the way into just past Soldier Field into like Grant Station. Come up underground and walked over to college. I was going to college in Columbia down there. And for all you stalkers, you go figure out which Columbia I'm talking about. And I'm sure you will. Listen, the problem is cost per ride. You're not paying with your ticket, you're not paying for the cost. So, like, if you were to do this as a government thing to break even,
Right.
your ticket price would be 75% higher. It's subsidized all across the country.
Wow.
75% higher. Why doesn't Uber sound like you said, "Oh, I gotta pay." And I've done plenty of Uber rides or
Yeah.
Lyft or oh, it's gonna be $35 to go there. I could ride the train. I could walk 4 blocks this way and then 4 blocks that way. I'll be
Oh
there.
yeah. Yeah.
It's only $7.
Yeah.
My
Well,
Uber's
they
gonna my Uber's gonna be 35 after tip. But wait, the actual cost of the train ride, if unsubsidized, would have been $40.
yeah. Yep. No, I know what you're saying. And again, I don't like going to Dulles because it's just so complicated. I always fly into Reagan, which is right in Crystal City, right in town. And there is a train stop for Reagan National, but I always Uber from my hotel to Reagan National because I am not riding that.
You know how I've learned to subsidize not paying so much for Ubers? Is I go down to the hotel concierge and I ask, "Hey, do you guys have a $20 shuttle that goes to the airport?" And they're like, "Yeah, but hey, don't forget to tip him." I was like, "That's cool. I got $30."
Yeah. Yep.
And my $47 Uber ride is now $30.
Yep.
We're using that. Yeah, if you're gonna live in metros, if you're gonna work in metros, you got to learn the way the system works.
Yeah. The way
You
the
could
system works,
you
learn
could
to
use
manipulate it.
you
Yep.
could use public transportation. I'm not telling you no. I'm telling you your ride is subsidized by somebody in Logansport in Indiana.
Yep.
It is. A lot of people don't understand this. They think, "Oh, I paid my ticket. That pays for my train ride." No. No, no. No, 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 it doesn't. These all of these agencies are subsidized through the federal government, and I look, they exist. Use them. Do what you want. I'm telling you, we may not be alive, but 50 years from now, you're just gonna get on an app and you're gonna have a personal ride. It's gonna be a
Oh yeah.
robot.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be way cheaper, and who is it? Sean Duffy's the Secretary of Transportation. There won't even be one anymore in 50
Yeah.
years because everything will be privatized, as
Yep.
it should be, as it should
Yep.
be. So, yeah, man, uh, we could do public transportation spaces all day long.
Well,
Hey,
dude,
good to
we should
see
do
you.
one. Yep.
We absolutely should. Good to see you. Hey, listen, Friday is what, the 4th?
Yep.
Are we doing a show Friday? I'm dog sitting, but I can do a show from my brother's house.
I'll be at the Ant Hill, so
Okay.
yeah, I should be able to do one.
All right, so we got Wednesday. Yeah, tomorrow we got Edward. I don't know what the hell the Canucks are doing. We'll find out what that's going on. But so for everybody who's listening or listens on Spotify tomorrow, we have some listeners over there. We really appreciate you. We will be on this week. Sounds like tonight. We already did one. We'll do Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday to be determined, but sounds like Friday. And we'll see you all. Happy Independence Week. It is Operation Independence Week. And remember, the reason for the week is because we told King George III, the tyrant, to go fuck himself.
Yep.